Welcome back to the college football rankings and New Year's Six bowl predictions. So let's get right into it with the rankings this week, and starting at number 25, moving into the rankings as a result of other teams losing, is Mississippi State. They had a bye week, but overall their resume is pretty good. I foresee a couple of 3-loss teams getting into the rankings this week. We'll have to compare mine with the college football playoff rankings after they come out on Tuesday, but this is my best estimation of what the committee will do based on past years. So with that, we move to number 24. NC State was also on the bye, but their resume is pretty good as well. Of course, they don't have Devin Leary, their quarterback, but they haven't lost yet because of it. Of course, they have a chance to either rise up and prove me wrong. I don't think they're that good, but right now their resume is of the 24th team in the nation. Of course, they lost to Syracuse, which is a game they could have won otherwise, but it's not a bad loss for them. But we'll see what happens this week against Wake Forest. Number 23, Oregon State has had a quality season so far. With losses at Utah and against USC, they went 3-0 out of conference, so this is a solid Pac-12 team. They'll have a trap game with Washington. I expect the winner of that to be ranked pretty highly in both the Pac-12 and by the committee in general. Number 22, we've got a one-loss North Carolina team. Haven't done much as of late in the ACC. Of course, that one loss is to Notre Dame, who also beat number 21 Syracuse this past weekend. That was kind of a shocking loss for Syracuse. They've lost 2 in a row. We'll see if they can get back their mojo this week in ACC play. Number 20 is Texas. So they move up a couple spots after other teams losing, of course. They have a big game this week against a K-State team that blew out an Oklahoma State team that beat this Texas team the week before. It was all confusing, but I still think Ewers is a pretty solid player. They played close to Alabama, so you can't really punish these teams for having a tough out-of-conference test, because then there's teams like Michigan who played 3 cupcakes and have a better record because of it. So Texas, well-deserving 3-loss team at the 20th spot here, but they probably won't stay in the rankings with 4 losses, so they probably have to win at K-State. That will be a tough one for them, but it would prove their ranking if they can get it done. Number 19, LSU, has that win over Ole Miss coming off the bye. So is Alabama. This is a big-time showcase in the SEC. We'll see what happens. We had a play on this game in our betting locks and predictions, so click in the top right if you'd like to see that. Number 18, Tulane continues to take care of business in the American Conference, and you've got to wonder what could have been with this team after that K-State blowout of Oklahoma State. They'd obviously be above K-State, which is a 2-loss team, granted, with their loss to TCU as well. But Tulane, if they just didn't lose to Southern Miss, they could have a voice in the playoff conversation. Obviously, this year is a stronger year than most for the playoff. Not a lot of upsets for the top teams. A lot of teams that are undefeated that were not last year. Cincinnati kind of had a perfect storm, but wow, the Tulane fans have to be looking at that Southern Miss game and thinking, what if? But they're still in line for the New Year's Six, as we'll see later. Number 17, Wake Forest suffered a horrifying loss at Louisville. Of course, it is a tough environment, but pretty inexcusable loss. I thought Wake Forest going into that game was the better team. We'll see how they bounce back in another ranked test this week. Number 16, Utah took care of business short-handed at Washington State. There were a few late scratches that no one really knew why it happened, including their quarterback, top running back, second running back, and one of their tight ends. So really a lot of questions on this Utah offense right now, but they're number 16. So we'll see how they go down the stretch. They have a chance to make the Pac-12 championship if they win out. Number 15, UCLA, similar story on the bye week last week. Not much to say about them there. Number 14, Oklahoma State, got trounced by Kansas State, but they were highly ranked before. As you can see, Kansas State is ranked above them. They'll have to bounce back quickly in a tough, rugged Big 12. Number 13, Illinois, continues to take care of business in the Big 10. Number 12, Kansas State, obviously rising up this week with that massive blowout with their backup QB. It was very impressive. They get another home test against Texas this week, as we've already talked about. We'll see if they can continue their rapid climb up the rankings. Number 11, Penn State, played close to Ohio State. That earns them a couple points. They don't really fall this week as a result of that. Don't really get punished for playing the top 2 team in the nation and playing them close for the majority of that game, but they choke it away in the end. They stay at number 11. Number 10, Ole Miss gets it done close at Texas A&M, a little closer than I would have liked, but at the end of the day, it's a rugged SEC in a tough road environment. That's a place where Alabama lost last year. Obviously not the same quality of Texas A&M team, but still a tough place to play regardless. Number 9, Oregon continues taking care of business in the Pac-12. They're in the driver's seat. Speaking of the Pac-12, USC is at 8 after a road win over Arizona. They're looking forward to their tests against Notre Dame and UCLA down the road. Number 7, TCU takes care of business at West Virginia. They will move on and face Texas Tech at home this week. So it'll be interesting. I compare this TCU team to Wake Forest of last year, but a bit better. Wake Forest was ranked pretty low, so I think this TCU team will be the worst of the unbeatens just due to the down nature of the Big 12, but they've taken care of a lot of the good opponents. They don't have much rigor left in their schedule. A trap road date at Baylor maybe, but other than that, this TCU team is looking good down the stretch. The committee is not in a position, in my estimation, to leave out a 13-0 Power 5 team. Number 6, Clemson heads to Notre Dame this week. That should be a trap game for them, but we'll see what happens here. Number 5, Michigan continues to take care of business in the Big Ten. A lot of antics around that MSU-Michigan game. This rivalry game, I guess that'll add some flavor to the rivalry in recent years, but maybe a little distraction for this team. They should be able to handle it, as their only real test is against Ohio State at the end of the season, and that one is on the road. Alabama in that showdown with LSU, as aforementioned. We'll see how they get up after their bye week. Number 3, Georgia in the biggest game of the season so far, undefeated at home against Tennessee, and they are very lucky to be at home in this one. I think the home team takes it, but we've got to play in that one. Again, check out the betting locks and predictions if you want to see that, but overall, I think Georgia is the number 3 team in the nation. They've played a couple questionable close games, at Missouri being the big one. So Ohio State and Tennessee, the teams ranked above them, haven't really had a question mark about them like that. But Georgia would undisputably jump to number 1 if they beat Tennessee this weekend. Number 2, Ohio State took care of business at Penn State, so that gets the thing everyone was knocking this Ohio State team for, not playing a ranked team. Well, there you go. They beat Penn State. Notre Dame might even be ranked if they can knock off Clemson, which would give Ohio State a very good win in that case. But for now, they've got that Penn State road victory. They've obviously got that big showdown with Michigan and are in the driver's seat in the Big Ten. Number 1, Tennessee. Of course, the total body of work. Blew out Kentucky this past weekend. Very impressive win, even though I did not have Kentucky as ranked like the AP poll did. Still a very impressive win, and they'll move on to face Georgia. So let's see how the bold predictions stack up. And again, the college football playoff remains unchanged, but I think that we could have some changes next week. The only real changes in any of these bowl games is Ole Miss moving into the Orange Bowl this week. So with that, thank you for watching. Please be sure to comment your predictions below for the college football playoff rankings tomorrow.